Audio Jungle.
Hard to tell whether or not that speed control actually really mattered in this game. I think that if you want to lead Duraludon Whimsicott, you need to make sure that your Whimsicott is doing the most it can to support the Duraludon consistently throughout the game. Otherwise, it's just stuck out on the field using Protect and otherwise not accomplishing much.
Not too many adjustments, at least in the beginning of this game too. Eric with the Excadrill and the Arcanine, Marco with the Duraludon and the Whimsicott. Now, you have the ability to kind of set up here for some big damage, which is what both of these players are going to do when they have their offensive Pokemon on the board, as well as a great supporter beside them. So it's no surprise to me that Eric is going to go for that turn 1 Dynamax again. We'll have to wait and see whether or not Marco decides to match that, but at least for now, Excadrill in that game 1 was able to get so much done with this Dynamax. And would you look at that, Marco is going to match that Dynamax with the Duraludon as well. And I think that's actually a really important note to make, that Duraludon might be trying to get a bit more damage done onto either the Excadrill, or I think even more importantly, maybe some of these supportive Pokemon that are helping that Excadrill and enabling that Excadrill.
Arcanine is the threat I think Duraludon needs to target down. Arcanine has Intimidate. We just saw Arcanine go for a helping hand. If Duraludon is able to find a way to knock out this Arcanine and also lower the attack of this Excadrill thanks to that Max Wormwind, I think that Marco is going to be in a much better spot than game 1. But that being said, this Excadrill still is going to attack this turn, and even with that attack drop, the Max Quake is going to put it in KO range of another powerful attack. So
yep.
I like how the Duraludon got more utility out of the Max Wormwind this time around by targeting the Arcanine over the Excadrill. I think that was a great adjustment from Marco. I also like how the Whimsicott prioritized the Tailwind over the Max Tears like we saw back in game 1, allowing the Duraludon to move first to get that attack drop in first. That's very, very important. But he still needs to call correctly who this Duraludon should target going into this next turn. If he ignores the Excadrill, it's very possible that the Duraludon is going to get knocked out. If he ignores the Arcanine, then it's very possible that the Arcanine has some sort of fire-type attack that can also, you know, potentially knock out that Duraludon, maybe knock out the Whimsicott. You know, even though Marco is in a better position than he was in game 1, I think that Eric still has a decent board position. And unless Marco is able to find a couple of KOs before this Tailwind expires, I think Eric will be in a similar position that he was in game 1.
Well, this is a bit of an adjustment. The Dracovish is going to be coming out just a little bit earlier while the Tailwind is still active. But Duraludon going for a Max Knuckle. Oh my goodness. It's not going to do too much damage to that Excadrill, but you do get the attack boost.
You get an attack boost, which is interesting because Duraludon is a special attacking Pokemon. So these Max Quakes boosting up the special defense on Eric's side of the field are going to be more important than the attack boost from that Max Knuckle. But that being said, it's a good reveal of a tech move. I think that Marco wanted to keep that secret in game 1 for this situation. Unfortunately for Marco, the damage output just wasn't there, most likely due to those Max Quakes boosting up the special defense of that Excadrill.
I think it's more for the Dracovish that's on the field than anything for the attack boost.
Yeah.
So I would definitely consider that more of Marco recognized. I'm not going to get too much more done if I go for the Max Wormwind. Maybe get really lucky with the damage roll and have my Duraludon survive, but I would rather set up for being able to take out this Excadrill or one of its partners with my own Pokemon. I think that when you said Dracovish is the answer, Dracovish might be the answer.
Dracovish with +1 attack might be the answer even.
Yep.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. And being able to utilize Dynamax in a turn where, you know, the knockout was inevitable is really a good play from Marco.
Like, look at how much damage that Crunch does with that extra attack boost. Unfortunately, Arcanine going to be felled. Max Steel Spike not going to be able to give that secondary effect to the Arcanine, but the Excadrill is still very healthy.
It's still very healthy. It has a +1 defense boost, which
Maybe
will help
not
with
now.
that Drain Punch. But I'm curious how much health Conkeldurr is going to get back here. Yeah, that's a really good amount of health, and with the burn, with the Guts ability boost on all of that Conkeldur's attacks, I think Eric is forced to send in the Togekiss here to either redirect away the Mach Punch, or redirect away that Crunch that we saw from that Dracovish, or just otherwise, again, protect this Excadrill so that it can be going on the offensive for Eric. It's possible he could also make an adjustment to his playstyle here. You know, Togekiss going on the offense is always a interesting option, something you do have to keep in mind, even though Dynamax is no longer available to it. Conkeldurr has taken some damage. It's possible with a critical hit or two that if this Togekiss is running the Super Luck variant that we've seen so many other times before, that would be enough damage to knock it out, but no redirection. Togekiss just going on the attack.
Yeah. It is going to be an attack, and Ice Punch now going to go straight into the Togekiss. That's going to be super effective damage. Dazzling Gleam, I don't know if this is going to be quite enough for the Dracovish, but it was a critical hit on the Conkeldurr, so it's going to be able to avenge its fallen brethren. But the Tailwind is now over, and now we are down to the final 2 Pokemon for both of these players. We'll see what this final Pokemon is for Eric. It's going to be that Gastrodon, which really Marco might have some trouble with.
It's interesting because if the Dracovish was locked into any other move other than Crunch, then I would say yes, he will be struggling against this Gastrodon.
That's true.
But not going to have to worry about it. I think the bigger question is, will this Moonblast knock out this Togekiss?
Moonblast going to Togekiss.
It
is enough to get the knockout. So now it's just going to be Gastrodon left against this Dracovish and this Whimsicott. Earth Power, though, into the Dracovish. Ooh, it does get the knockout. So now it's just Gastrodon versus this Whimsicott. Now, what's interesting is that Whimsicott sometimes runs like a grass-type move. Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Maybe not in this instance because we saw it use Moonblast, but Fake Tears is going to have to be the play. That's Marco's win condition here, just to try to drop that special defense as much as possible before this Moonblast kind of happens.
I wonder if Marco knows how many Fake Tears he needs to get down onto this Gastrodon before it can comfortably pick up the knockout with 1 or 2 Moonblasts. You have to remember that Gastrodon does get access to Recover, and in this exact situation is when you wish you had Recover. Fortunately for Eric, he was lucky with that burn. He got it on the first try, and it will be able to cycle in these protects so that Whimsicott will take more and more damage, can avoid the Fake Tears, and otherwise try and outlast this Whimsicott.
Wow.
You know, there definitely still is an opening for Marco here, but it's going to take a few turns to play out. I think we'll see Marco attempt 1 more Fake Tears before sort of going all in on the Moonblast, but you know, it's going to be interesting. It's definitely a few slow turns, but it's going to be a huge attack from that Whimsicott when it's ready for it.
Gastrodon just going to be cycling through those protects again, and I expect that this Whimsicott is just continuing to go. Oh, okay, no, it's about time to go for the Moonblast now. That might give a little bit of information to Eric that 2 Fake Tears might be enough.
It might be enough, and I think that if Eric is expecting it to not be enough, we'll see him go for the Recover here. That is a safe play. That is how you make sure that you're still around after this big damage. But with a critical hit, it is enough to knock out that Gastrodon in 1 hit.